you like to comment any more on this?
Be thoughtful and keep good association with other thoughtful people. Yes.
Isn't everything about controlling your mind?
Excuse me?
Isn't everything about controlling your mind?
Controlling the mind is a means. It is not an end. If you can control your mind, what will you do with your controlled mind? Will you plot to overthrow the government?
I will stay happy forever.
Huh?
I will stay happy forever.
But what will you do with your mind? Your controlled mind? What will you put it on? Some people have very focused mind for terrible things. So it depends what you do with your controlled mind. So you say, I'll be happy forever. Well, what will you do with it to become happy forever? So I'm just making the point that controlling the mind is a means. It's not an end. So if you take a controlled mind and you focus it in your japa, that's what we were trying to do this morning, and chanting Krishna's names and developing your relationship with Krishna, then, in my humble opinion, you'll be the most fortunate person. Focused and fortunate, because you'll achieve very quickly the greatest eternal benefit, and you'll experience it very quickly in this life. Yes.
It is said that we all are the souls and we are the part of the Supreme Soul.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to ask that what is the reason behind it? Like why God created this universe, and after creating time to time, why this whole drama is going on? Like why He's our parents? Why they put ourselves in this material world again and again, and we involved in all those activities like materialistic activities, and we have to put a lot of effort again to regain that condition. It seems to me like we become puppets in the hand of God. Like we don't everything. It is said in the Gita, God is Krishna is the only one who is creator, who is destroyer. Then what is the role in this world of us?
Yeah, this is a deep question. But we think of the material, the best approach to answering this question, because it's complicated also, the best approach to answering this question is an example. And the example is the free citizens in a country, and then there are the prisoners. So there are unlimited souls who are in the spiritual realm, who are eternally in relationship with the Supreme Lord in many different ways. And then there are the prisoners. So your question is, why did God make the material world and place us in it? And in the example that I'm giving, that would be, why does the government make a prison house? Now, does the government make the prison house because he wants people to live in it? What do you think?
They want to provide a chance to make reform,
But
bring a reform in there.
That's one way of looking at what a prison house does. But the point being that you don't make the prison house because you want people to move into the prison. But there are people who are naturally criminals, who, two things, you want to reform them, to change their mentality, and also you have to separate them from the good citizens. That's part of the government's job, is to give the good citizens a peaceful life. And you can't have a peaceful life if you're surrounded by criminals. So Krishna creates even though I'm not talking exactly philosophically, I'm talking in the example. Krishna creates the material world because there are certain souls who don't wish to follow their natural relationship with him. And therefore they don't want to serve him. They want to be the supreme, which is impossible. So they get to go to the material world like the prisoner gets to go to the prison who doesn't want to follow the law, which is natural and required. So in the prison house, he can, and you ask any prisoner, or most prisoners, you ask, why are you here? And what will they say? Because the judge sent me here. So that's a criminal's mentality. I'm here because the judge sent me here. So in the example, I'm here because God made me go here. But why is the criminal in there, in the prison house? Not because the judge sent them there. The judge is just following the law. Say the law sent him there, but no, he's there because he's acting against the law. And if you act against the law, you go to the prison house. So why are we in the material world? It's because we don't want to act in our natural, constitutional relationship with the Supreme Lord, which is we are his servant. Rather, we don't want to be a servant of God. We want to be the center ourselves. And this is the common mentality of every single prisoner in the material world. Everyone thinks themselves the center. And we live in this illusion that we're the center. Unhappily, trying to convince other people that they should see us as the center. And it doesn't work. No one will see us as the center.
So is it so like there are another some natural powers or natural laws who make even who?
Well, first, wait, before you answer, ask another question. Do you understand?
So I'm just I want to ask a question related to your what answer you have given.
Yeah.
So there is another natural laws who also bound to Krishna to work here in this universe.
I'm not following exactly what you mean. Say it again.
Like you told about some laws. Like judge is also born with some laws.
Yeah. In this case, the basic law that we're breaking is that we have a relationship with Krishna. It's natural. Every soul has a relationship with Krishna. And that is that we are eternally his. And we naturally, Krishna Nityadas, we're naturally servants of Krishna. And we turn our back on our relationship with him, specifically. But I don't know what an easy way to explain the word irony. The amazing thing, that's not what irony means, but the amazing thing is that although we don't want to serve God, we end up serving continuously everyone else because we are constitutionally, by nature, servants. So when we turn our back on our serving relationship with Krishna, we end up serving anyway because we're servants by nature. So that's the essential law that we break, but it's not like that kind of a law. It's the kind of law that, it's dharma in the true sense of the meaning of the word. The natural, like sugar has as its dharma sweetness. So as souls, our dharma is service to God. You can't have salty sugar. It's the dharma, the constitutional, natural nature of sugar to be sweet. So similarly, our dharma, our natural constitutional position is to serve Krishna. And when we turn our back on that because we want to be masters, we end up serving anyway because it's our dharma. Everyone ends up serving. If you become, the topmost position in the country is the Prime Minister. So we think he's the one who's the who's the topmost position, but he ends up having to serve so many people. He has to serve the people in his party, he has to serve the citizens, he has to serve this, he has to serve that. You end up serving. There is no question of anyone in this world becoming a master. We're all servants by constitution. So that is the essence of the law that we break. We're denying our natural constitutional relationship with the Supreme Lord. And then, when we do that, we are thrown into the prison house of the material world, and we have to follow so many laws. We're forced. Gentleman was saying about predestination and free will. We're forced to do so many things. You're forced to eat. You're forced to sleep. You're forced to blink your eyes again and again and again and again. Just try and stop. We're forced to do so many things. You're forced to swallow. You're forced to hear so many things you don't want to hear. You're forced to speak when you don't want to speak. So many, forced to get old, forced to get sick, forced to suffer the cold and fog and buses in Calcutta and Delhi and everywhere else. Yeah.
Like then we say like,
Thank you for listening though, I appreciate
that. How can we differentiate between the good or bad in this world? Like if we are forced to everything, to do everything, like what makes us to take good decision, like right decision, what is good or right, or what is
This
like
is described in the Bhagavad Gita. If you have a dominance, if the mode of ignorance is dominant in you, is strong in you, what you think is bad is actually good, is for your welfare. And what you think is good is actually bad for you. That's the mode of ignorance and how it will affect you. And the mode of passion, you'll think something is good that gives you immediate pleasure, but later will turn to poison in your life. And in the mode of goodness, you'll see things accurately in the proper perspective. So good are the things that are actually for your benefit. Like smoking a cigarette. Is that for your benefit? Not that you smoke cigarettes, but is that for your benefit? It kills you. And yet so many people do it.
it only kills the body, not the soul. Like
Now you're preaching to me, but you're talking. So you're talking about good on the.
yeah.
But you know what I mean. I'm saying that people in the mode of ignorance, they cannot see what is good for them. They think the opposite. Viparitani, they think the opposite of reality. They don't see things accurately. So ultimately what is good for us are those things that spiritually elevate us. So that's, we're bringing the point on the spiritual level. So even doing something that's difficult on the material level, if it spiritually elevates us, is very healthy spiritually. Like controlling the mind while we're chanting japa. It's not easy, but it is the most healthy thing for you on the spiritual level, for example. Coming and associating with devotees and singing and hearing someone tell you that material life is so terrible, like I've been doing. Even though it's difficult to come here when it's cold, but you do it, and that's spiritually good for you. You think about these things a lot, don't you? These kind of things. You think about these things a lot. You think. My accent is sometimes.
Yeah.
So you think about these things deeply.
Yeah. Actually, I am practicing Raj Yoga since last 6 years.
Yeah.
So those ideas come in mind during this journey.
Yes. And do you chant also?
I meditate. I only meditate.
Okay. What do you meditate on?
In our in our system, we meditate on heart.
You meditate on the heart.
God,
The Lord in the
God
heart.
presence in our heart.
I'm sorry.
God, presence of God in our
The
heart.
presence of God in your heart. And what do we do here?
It is also, I don't have.
But what do we do?
Like so?
What do we do?
Like we try to.
What do we
Here,
here do?
Here we try
What
to
do
feel God, feel that conscious.
we meditate on sound vibration?
Yeah. Chanting.
And that is our essential meditation. We meditate on Krishna by singing His holy name and also eating prasadam. And also discussing Krishna conscious philosophy. This is how we meditate. Yes.
Sir, I have two questions.
Yes.
One is that when we were talking about life, first we are humans and then we go through all the animals if we are not considered, and we get human birth after a long time. So we never talked about plants as a source of life, as life. As a
life.
As a life.
Yes.
So is there anything?
Are plants alive?
How do we get that body?
So what was the question?
Plants are alive, but
Yes.
we never talked about we going to plant life.
Okay, now we will talk about it. So you'll never be able to say again that we never talk about it. Yes. We can become, because anything that, there are symptoms of life, and if anything exhibits the symptoms of life, that means it has a soul in it. There's a soul there. So there is a cycle, samsara. It's a cycle. So once we are in the cycle of samsara, it is automatically, we go from one type of a body to another type of body, including not only plants, but also insects, and also birds, and also animals, and also devatas, even higher beings, and also quite a fish, and also
Reptiles, insects.
yes, reptiles, yeah, the whole, everything, it's all there. Wherever there is life. So we should talk more about plants, I think. Cauliflowers, mango trees, wheat, anna.
Even a virus that causes disease?
If it is alive, does it have the symptoms of life? Bacteria, virus?
Once.
I won't answer that question from from the point of view of a biologist, just from the point of view of if it has the symptoms of life, then it is alive.
Actually, virus has a dual nature. If it is not attached to a body, it is not alive, but if it attaches itself to a body, it becomes alive.
Yeah.
But if the processes are not going on if it is, say, anywhere, but once it attaches itself to another
So
body,
it could be, yeah. But you say once it attaches, so that implies that it does the attaching. So there must be some life impulse in it to attach. So it's tricky from that point of view. Yeah, and also sometimes they attack your computer.
And Prabhupada said that all life forms, they do the 6 things. They grow, they produce, these are byproducts, they finally
Maintain for some
and maintain and finally
dwindle and die.
So I don't know whether virus has those kind of things.
But see, the point is that if one could spend one's whole life trying to decide whether Viruses are actually living beings that have souls in them. And one may conclude yes, or one may conclude no. And I would say that the person has wasted his life. That is what makes the focus of his human intelligence. If that's what he's achieved, he's concluded. Because then when he's leaving this world, he's going to think of what? Viruses. So we should use our life properly to develop love for Krishna, not to just simply study the amazing phenomena of the material world.
If human...
Wait, that was the first question. The second question.
The second question was that we all make promises in our life, and say this is the point of change in my life where I realize that I need to be more spiritually engaged. How do I deal with my promises which I've made previously if they are interfering with me being more spiritually engaged?
Well, see, to answer, truthfulness is a quality that is supportive of spiritual life in general, as a general principle. And integrity is a general concept that is supportive of spiritual life. Both are born of the mode of goodness. But in and of itself, they are not spiritual. They're supportive of the spiritual, but they, in and of themselves, they are not spiritual. There's actually a story from the Puranas that some soldiers were chasing one person, and he was running, and he took shelter in a sadhu's ashram. And then the soldiers came to the sadhu and said, "Where is he? You know, we want to find him and kill him." So if the sadhu told him where the man was hiding, then they would kill him, and maybe he was innocent, maybe he wasn't. Unfortunately, I can't remember how this story ended. Whether the sadhu told the truth, so anyway, sometimes there's trickiness involved, which is the highest morality, even. So, but in any case, if you're asking a general question, but you're thinking of something very specific about your own life, yes? So when we answer a general question, we answer in a general way. But if you want some specific advice, how to deal with specific issues in your life, then you really should talk to someone privately, a devotee who you trust privately, and ask some advice about that. So in general classes, we talk about the general principles. Just like if you go to medical school, they'll tell you the principles of medicine. But if you want to talk about your specific disease, you go to a doctor. So there are doctors available. If you want some specific advice on how to deal with, because those things are complicated and sometimes, and it also depends on the patient, so to speak, and what his situation is and what his commitment is and things like that. Because you need an individual prescription. Because the point is that you have to advance spiritually. So one person every person's path is going to be somewhat different. So you need, if you're serious about advancing, you need a personal prescription, I would say, on this one. And someone who understands you, who knows you, and who you trust is going to give an answer that is specifically for your welfare. You know, not trying to get you to do anything for any other reason other than it's good for you. So that's, you find a person who you trust is going to answer you in that way, and then you privately ask. should, Abhi, sorry, no.
One question.
You only get one. Okay, what's your one question, Prabhu?
Yeah, is competition bad?
Is competition bad? Whether it's good or bad, it's always going to be there. But there's even a spiritual competition that exists. And that competition is free from envy. That competition is free from envy, and competition in the material world is filled with envy. And what does envy mean? It means that you wish ill or harm to others. The person you're competing with, you wish bad for him, so that as if that will make you go up. So there's no envy in the spiritual world, but there can be competition. But it is spiritual competition. There's a story about material competition and material envy. This one man, he got a benediction that he could, whatever he asked for, he would get. But he had a real problem. Two problems. One is that he had a neighbor, the person living next door to him, he was so envious of and he hated. That was the first problem. The second problem is his neighbor also had a benediction. And that benediction was, whatever this person got, he would get twice as much. So the man said, what do I want? I want a house that has 5 cars, 10 garages to park the cars, it's 5 stories high, 3 swimming pools, and 100 rooms. And suddenly, it was there. And he looked at his neighbor, and suddenly his neighbor had 20 cars, 40 garages, 10 stories high, or whatever it was, and 6 swimming pools. And no matter what he had, because he was envious, he was feeling miserable. So he asked for something else, and he was feeling so bad and so miserable. And he thought and thought and thought, and because he was losing the competition. And he thought and thought and thought, and he said, I want to lose one of my eyes. That is envy. And that doesn't exist in the spiritual world. What exists on the spiritual level is competition. And, oh, you've done something so wonderful. Let me try to even do something more wonderful, something like that. Huh?
Drawing the bigger line.
Drawing?
Drawing the bigger line.
I'm not sure what you mean.
This is the line, so if in the spiritual world someone try to draw bigger line.
Yes.
It's constructive.
Yeah, constructive, positive. And there's no envy like that.
But what people try to suppress the who is...
Yeah, that's envy. But even in spiritual life, amongst imperfect beings, material envy sometimes enters, and we want to avoid that. So, because if you have envy, no matter what you have, you can't be happy. It is like Srila Narottam Das Thakur compares it to like having a spear in the heart. You can't be happy no matter what situation you're in. And ultimately envy springs from envy of the Supreme Lord. Because if my neighbor has so much, how much more does the Supreme Lord have? And if I don't like that my neighbor has more than me, so envy ultimately springs from Krishna, or envy of Krishna. And that's the cause of the problem. That's why we turn our back. There's something in certain souls that there's an enmity with the Supreme Lord, which is a product of their free will. And they turn their back on Him and live in the land of shadows and cannot be happy. Because they're turning their back on reality. Reality means our relationship with Krishna. We're His servant. We're a servant of God. We can't avoid it. So instead of trying to avoid it, embrace it, and develop love for Krishna. And that's our eternal inheritance, so to speak. How many of you have classes early tomorrow morning? Good night. That's so many. This will be the last one. The only Mataji here. This is amazing. Hare Krishna.
I just want to ask you one thing. How can we leave our bad habits or something that we are addicted to?
Yeah.
Say, I'm a non-vegetarian, I want to live the non-vegetarian food.
Yeah.
So the desire for knowledge is very strong.
Yeah.
How can I?
Very honest question. See, addiction is something that's very difficult to control. It is actually, even though you know it's wrong, bad and wrong, and bad for you, the nature of what addiction means, it's beyond the control, your immediate control. But this particular one isn't really an addiction. It's something that you can deal with. And that is by eating prasadam, spiritual food, because it tastes so much better. And also your consciousness, your happiness, your life will be immediately, not immediately meaning the second, but quickly, a cloud that covers the consciousness will be removed. Very quickly. And it's quite noticeable. I mean, yes, it's quite noticeable. Prasadam tastes better. It's pure. It's devotional. It increases your devotion, and it doesn't. And it elevates your consciousness. While non-vegetarian food makes us miserable because it is cruel. Because I like it, therefore I'm going to kill you. It's just so cruel. If you, now I'm going to do something that maybe I shouldn't do, but I'll do it anyway. If you understood the cruelty and the pain of the animals and what they have to go through just because you like the taste of them. Now, how would you like it if someone decided that they like the taste of your arm, and therefore they had the right, because they're more powerful than you, to cut off your arm and cook it? It will, I mean, just the thought of that is terrifying. That everyone has the right, because the people who have power have responsibility. Power means responsibility. To use that power properly for the benefit of others, not selfishly. So if you cause pain to others, how can you be happy in this world or anywhere? So go and stop looking at that non-vegetarian food as if it was. Understand that it's part of some poor creature's body. And they're not giving it to you willingly, by violence, by force. They're killing them. Go to a slaughterhouse. It'll make you sick. You will throw up. And then if you see the poor animals, I one time drove past the slaughterhouse in California, and I saw the animal. They put it in the middle of the desert, so that people couldn't hear the crying of the animals. They cry, they have feelings, they've experienced pain. Don't be part of that. even from the selfish, personal perspective. You cannot be happy if you cause pain to others. So if you associate with people who really like that, and especially if you have a tendency due to a bad habit to be like that, it'll be harder for you. But if you associate with people who would not cause harm to others, that will be people that is naturally better for you to associate with. Why associate with people who are cruel? Because they're cruel to the animals, and then they'll be cruel to you. But if you associate with gentle-hearted souls who don't want to cause violence in this world, who want to benefit others, those are much better people to associate with, and they will eat prasadam, spiritual food. Food that's offered to God, and it's karma-free, sin-free, and it tastes good also.
So, this was the last question, but in this answer I want to say something.
It better be very good.
I tried to convince my friend for this with a similar argument. What is it? You are also causing cruelty to plants and trees by plucking them.
Therefore, it's like you cannot compare. Taking the fruit from a tree, or the wheat of the grains from the wheat plant, and a piece of broccoli, and even cauliflower, to making a conspiracy to kill animals, a planned conspiracy to kill them. You cannot compare it. Like you cannot compare, like if you drive without a seatbelt, that's against the law, say. But if you murder someone, that's against the law also. But how can you compare the two? But in any case, the devotees don't say we are vegetarians, everyone should be vegetarian. The Vaishnavas do not say that. They follow Bhagavad Gita, and they say that we should eat food that has been first offered to Krishna. We should cook for his pleasure. More than vegetarian, spiritual food, prasadam. And we offer Krishna what he likes, and he likes vegetarian food. Wait.
I would like to add my perspective for that. I think that animals are grown by their own pain and their own hard work or anything else. But plants are grown by us, by our own hard work. Same as the God can take life of us at any point of time. Similarly, we make the plants to grow. We give up our hard work. So we have the right to take from them also. But animals.
No. So your parents, by their hard work, they made you. You're such a good-hearted person. I can see that. Okay. Hare Krishna. Good night. Hare Krishna. So tomorrow morning, quite early, even before you're in your 8 o'clock class, I will leave for Vrindavan, and I hope to see you all in Sri Vrindavan Dham one day. It's been a great pleasure to have your association, and even though I'm very tired, but because such good questions and such nice association, but still it's been so enlivening, and sincerely and honestly want to thank you for coming and allowing me to speak about Krishna. I hope to see you in Vrindavan. Please chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Once someone said to Prabhupada, I practice Raj Yoga. And Prabhupada said, this is Samrat Yoga.
So I thank all of you for being here. You participated this almost 2.5 days of Sangha given by his grace, Bhurijana Prabhu. He came all the way from Vrindavan in this very terrible weather. This is the nature of the holy saints. They take all the troubles to give the Sangha to good association to those who are innocent and who need the mercy. And I think that all of you were in that category. You came and took his association. So I thank all of you for that. And I wish that this association that you got will go a long way in your life. There are many boys here who actually went to Vrindavan and attended his retreat program in Bhurijana in December 1 to 6. They all were enlivened. And that time I felt that there are many in IIT, they don't want to go to Vrindavan. So I have to make a very earnest request to Prabhuji, and he actually agreed, and I really expressed my heartfelt gratitude for that. He came, and today I learned that how he actually led a very impoverished life in Vrindavan during 1983 to 95, without electricity, without sometimes water, no money, but they have to live in that place for doing some service for Prabhupada. So, but when we talk to him, associate with him, the natural humility that we actually feel, that's actually very heart-touching. So Prabhuji, thank you very much. And
Now you have made me shy.
so, and I wish that he is, you can actually make, he's an initiating spiritual master within our organization. So you can actually can start making your connection. You have an opportunity. That is how we actually get connected to Krishna. So I wish that you should hanker for his association as and when you get an opportunity. Thank you very much. And also, I would like to thank also the Yamunacharya Prabhu. He also came from New Zealand. He was visiting Vrindavan and he came here. He gave a lecture yesterday. How many of you attended his lecture? Oh, there are so many. Great. So how did you like it? Did you like it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. And so I will have another request to Bhurijana Prabhu that please be merciful to our Sangha here whenever you can provide your resources. We are very miserly. We want more. Hare Krishna. So you will take prasad and before you leave, right?
Yes.
Anybody wants to speak something that he got? One or two persons? How this Sangha helped you? Anybody wants to express? Yeah.
I've actually started to think about things in a way that is very different from the way I used to think about it. I felt I was quite open-minded at that time, but I realized that I was not. And there are things that I need to explore more to gain real knowledge. So I opened up a lot during this time. So, I think it would be of great help to me in my life.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. First thing is that I'd like to thank for your association, 2 days that you have given. I'll surely remember because over my life, because these are like the best days in IIT that I have been. And for the first time, I'm staying away from my family and home. And I was thinking how it would be here. But after spending these 2 days, which I've forgotten that I've come here to study or anything else. And I'm like totally into this. And I feel that after coming here, after spending 2 days with you, I'm feeling more being at home rather than what I was feeling with my family. So.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Chahat.
And one thing is that the today's morning japa workshop, I'll always remember that it is one mantra at a time, and I think that will work for me. I have experienced it. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Give to Chahat.
In this 3-day camp, this program, I think I got the answers to many of the questions that I earlier had from Prabhuji. So that was very enlightening for me.
Yeah, Premnath.
It was a great opportunity for me to be here. When I came into IIT Kanpur, I was really addicted, or I was really attached to some kind of bad thing. Though bad thing